GM's transition to an all-electric future is built on a proprietary battery pack called Ultium. It's building 4 factories to produce the batteries, while it retools 4 existing assembly plants to ramp up EV production. The objective, to create a scalable platform that eventually drives down costs. Paul Jacobson took me to the laboratory where this technology is taking shape.
So we're in the heart of one of our battery testing labs where we test all aspects of the battery resiliency, extreme temperatures, shaking, vibration, etc.
How much are you investing in R&D for the battery at this point?
So we are investing a ton into battery technology, but it's not all just us. So around us, we've got the testing facilities. We're also building a new cell manufacturing test facility where we're going to test different ways of manufacturing cells. Because it's one thing to look at chemistry and say, this is superior, but can you replicate it millions and millions of times across the entire portfolio? So we're in execution mode. We're producing cells now at Lordstown, and we'll be rolling those out soon. We're already have these cells in the Hummer EV and the Cadillac Lyriq as well. But as far as technology and chemistry goes, I think we're just at kind of the beginning of where that might go over the long term. Do we go to solid state or what? So we're looking really at a portfolio approach to make sure we capture the highest probability of being successful.
So as you go to scale, and you have those millions and millions of time, the vehicle comes off the line, whatever that is in the future, right? 10 years down the road, what percentage of the cost of the vehicle will be just tied up in a battery like that?
Well, the battery and the motor systems are sort of the equivalent of the engine and the transmission today. It is costing more, obviously, for those systems going forward, but we think that technology is going to come down over time as well, which is why we've said we think we can get an electric vehicle to parity, profit parity, if you will, by the end of the decade with their ICE counterparts.
EVs may also be more profitable on the labor side, at least in the manufacturing phase.
If you just looked at the powertrain of the vehicle, the parts that are different in an ICE versus a BEV, there's 40% less labor hours in the assembly of a BEV powertrain. So fundamentally, there's 40% less labor needed.
But certain engineering skills are likely to command a premium.
We're seeing auto companies on the engineering side out in the marketplace competing for engineers that they're competing with video game companies, Silicon Valley companies. A different kind of engineer, software engineers are really needed. And so there's this big competition for that kind of employee and attracting them to the auto industry, which is considered, an old Rust Belt industry.
We've been hiring really aggressively over the last couple of years in software, in chemistry, in just broad engineering across the board. And what we found is people are attracted to coming to General Motors. I think more and more today, employees are focused on, I want to work for a company that shares my values. And when you look at what GM is doing in our pivot to electric vehicles, we find a lot of people want to be a part of that.
U.S. car buyers are also getting with the program. Sales of fully electric vehicles grew by 85% from 2020 to 2021, with Tesla accounting for 3 of the 5 top-selling models. Yet hurdles remain, and the issue of charging might be the biggest.
If you think of the reasons why people avoid an electric vehicle now, 4 of the top 5 reasons are related to charging.
U.S. charging infrastructure is steadily improving, but consumers still worry about being stranded without power on road trips. Paul Jacobson assured me that when he takes the new Hummer EV on long journeys, it's not just fun to drive, it's equipped to go the distance.
I hear so much about road trip anxiety that I wanted to experience it myself. My family likes to drive a lot, so I brought my daughter home from college in this, and it was great. I mean, the computer system is all intuitive. It tells you how to keep track of the battery. It tells you where the charging stations are. It tells you how much power you'll have when you get to the charging station. So it really puts a lot of your anxiety at ease. But as far as driving it, it's a treat.
So where are you on the charging stations? I know General Motors has made an investment in one company. How are we doing in this country generally in getting charging stations in?
So I think this is an area where obviously we can continue to improve as a country and a society. We're doing our best. We've committed almost $1 billion to EV charging. So we've taken that and looked at home charging solutions, local community solutions, and road trip charging solutions. What, with my daughter, what we would end up doing is probably stopping, grabbing a bite to eat, plugging it into a charger, usually a high-speed charger, to get as much charge as we can, and being there for 20 to 30 minutes. Get us a lot of range, and by the time we've used that range, we're tired, ready to stop again, etc. So it was a really good experience for me, and it's taught me, number one, what are the concerns of the consumer that are ultimately going to drive our vehicles, and then number two, where do we need to focus on addressing some of those anxious points for people?